An inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
This is Randall Via. I'm currently serving 1,214 years in Red Onion State Prison for capital murder, Pound, Virginia, in the USA. This is my podcast, Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoy listening to me today. Tattoos in the world and in prison are hugely popular. They're big business. You can make a lot of money slinging ink in prison because everybody wants ink. Everybody wants to look cool. But first, I'm going to talk about the technical aspects of tattooing before I get into the reasons why we get them and so on and so forth. Now, the main thing that you have to have in prison is the ink. Now, if you have money, if you have a lot of money, yes, you can always bribe a guard to bring tattoo ink in. But this is the thing. That's only if you're going to do it for yourself. As far as I sling ink, so I used to. If I was to do that, I would have to charge so much to cover my cost of what the ink would cost me, plus the bribe and everything. It would be cost prohibitive to do that. So what we do is this. We'll take plastic like chess pieces. You take, I think the best ink is made using Vaseline. What you do is you take a little piece of wire and you braid it together. And then you wrap a piece of wool around it or, string or whatever you can get your hands on. And you just kind of grease it up lightly. And then you stick it down in a little small tub of Vaseline or hair gel or whatever. And then you got to light that on fire. And it just creates that little wick and it burns. And you take a brown paper bag, and you'll have already done this beforehand. About 2 inches of the top of the bag, you'll take a razor and you'll just slice 2 inches in each corner. And then you'll fold them out. And then you'll lay them over, you'll set the bag over top of the burning plastic or the burning grease or the wick or anything. And then you just take little damp pieces of toilet paper and lay them around all sides, and you just leave one little small corner open. And that's just so it can just get just a little bit of air in there so that it burns up all the grease or the plastic. And all of this soot, the smoke and everything that, is created by burning the plastic or burning the Vaseline, it catches on the top of the bag and on the sides of the bag. And you don't want to use some huge grocery bag. You want to use more along the lines of like a lunch bag. But you got to make sure that you don't have the fire on the wick burning too high, because if it does, it's just going to catch the bag on fire, and then you're going to get ink, soot everywhere, and it's a pain in the ass to clean up. So you just wait until that burns out, and you'll know when it burns out because it won't have the little flickering inside the bag. And you never, ever do that in the middle of the floor. You always set that underneath the bunk in kind of a darkened area. That way when the COs walk by and they look in, they ain't going to see it. And then once you've done that, you just simply take, your razor or something of that nature. And after you lift the bag up and everything, you just very carefully just hold it over another little container, and you just scrape all of it out, all this soot out into a soap dish or something like that. Now, you can't add water and expect to make tattoo ink. You have some guys who will use shampoo or use toothpaste. You can actually do that, but this is the thing. It will cause the ink under your skin to bubble, and you'll get these little small blisters all over your tattoos, and it looks nasty and it looks horrible. It looks like your tattoo has some venereal disease, and that's just not good, man. You've got some dudes in prison with some really, really messed up ink because of that. Especially they get it tattooed on their faces or something using bad ink. Yeah. There's just no coming back from that. The best thing to use is alcohol, of course. Now, however, alcohol in prison is very, very difficult to get. You basically have to have an inmate with a job in medical, and he has to have the balls to steal it. And most dudes don't have the balls to steal it from medical, and quite frankly, I don't really blame them, because they really, the COs follow you around in medical because they're not trying to protect you, to keep you from stealing stuff. They're trying to keep you from raping one of the female nurses or something. So that, when you do go over there to work, it's hard to do. But I found one of the best things in here to use is barber salt. And that's this little blue liquid. Whenever you go to a beauty salon or a barber shop, you'll see that those little big containers. It's got the bright blue water in them, the colored liquid. That's barber salt. That has alcohol and whatnot in it. And you just a few drops of it, and you stir it up. And you keep adding a few drops at a time because you don't want to make it too watery, but at the same time you don't want to make it too thick neither, because if it's too thick, the gun ain't going to draw it up into it. And once you get it mixed up, you just take it and pour it from your little container into a small bottle. Now, that's the easy part. Honestly, that's the easy part. Making ink. Making a gun is a little bit more time consuming, a little bit more difficult, because you got to get a motor from a pair of trimmers, beard trimmers, or something of that nature. And depending on the way the motor is set up, because some of those motors are differently, and I don't know the proper names for each one. So I'm just going to do your basic motor. It looks like sort of like a large battery, but a little bit short, and then it's got the gear on the side of it coming out the right side. So what you do is you'll lay that down on your in between your thumb and your forefinger and that little meaty part, and it'll fit right there, and it actually works really good. And then you'll take a pen tube and you'll measure it, and then you'll just take a razor and you'll cut that down to where it's at the right length, and then you'll attach that with a little bit of glue and some string and a little bit of tape. And then you got to have it angled just right. That way, when the gear is turning, it just, when it spins, it allows the needle to come up and down. Now, this is the thing. You got to take like some small rubber or something where it'll slide right over and wrap the ink. Wrap the ink. You'll wrap the needle part, the top part of that, which we make the needles out of the springs and pins, like ballpoint pins that you've got the clickers on them. And you just basically take that and you'll stretch it out, and then smooth it out and everything, and then you'll cut it into the desired lengths. And you'll have to wrap the back end around, the rubber piece that'll slide over the actual gear part. And that way, when it spins, it's causing it to go up and down, and that's what drives the needle up and down. And it goes down through the tube, and at the bottom of it, you'll basically take the bottom part of a pen, the ball point, and you'll just hold the pen straight up and down and just rub it over a rough piece of concrete until it tears the actual ball out and it leaves that little opening. And then your needle will come down just right through there. Once you have that all put together, and you can use one needle, or if you're coloring in like big broad strokes or whatnot, you can actually attach multiple needles to it. But you do want to be careful though that you kind of get them in a straight line as possible. Though it's a bit difficult and it takes some working, and you'll have to flatten the tip of the pen down so it kind of opens up a little bit. If you don't do that, it's just going to come out in one giant needle, and that's just going to tear your skin up and just basically slice your skin all to hell. So once you have that done, then you just got to attach your battery source to the wires, which you can either just make a long cord and just plug it into the wall where it runs constantly, or you can just basically daisy chain a bunch of batteries, just lay them down, take a piece of cardboard, lay it over top of it, and tape the batteries to it on both sides. And then you just run one wire from each battery, each positive and negative, tape that down, and then strap that to your forearm with a couple of rubber bands, or just, just rip up a piece of sheet or something and just wrap it around it where it holds it to your forearm and it's out of your way. And then you just attach the leads to the back of the motor, and that will cause the motor to run. And then you take a little bit of ink and pour it in a toothpaste cap, seal up the rest of it, and you just dip the gun down into the toothpaste cap, and that it will, while it's running, that will suck the ink up into the tube of the pen where the needle is and everything, and then you just get the tattooing. That's how you make the ink. That's how you make the gun. And I'm not what you would call a true tattoo artist. As a matter of fact, the guy I'm looking at a couple of phones away named Lil John, that dude is a true tattoo artist. That dude can draw. Like, he doesn't need a stencil to tattoo you. He can just freestyle. He's really an incredible artist. I remember he showed me a handkerchief that he did one time, and it was him and his girlfriend. They were standing like Bonnie and Clyde in front of like a 1920s, 1930s bank and the old Model T Ford, and, he had a couple of cops that were dead laying on the ground, shot from him. They were holding the Tommy guns with the smoke spiraling up, and they had bullet holes in the side of the car and everything. Like, it was incredible. Dude is a true artist. He doesn't need a stencil or anything to tattoo. So it does make it easier. Like, even real tattoo artists will still do that. I'm what you would call a tracer. That's what I call people like me that I can't necessarily draw. I have a little bit of talent for it, and if I had the patience and the time to actually sit down and just start like, okay, I'm going to teach myself to draw, within 6 months to a year, I would actually be really good at it. But I can sit down and write, but I can't sit down and draw. It's just not my thing. But I would take tattoo patterns, and I would take a ditto sheet, which is the dark blue carbon paper. Instead of it being black, though, it's dark blue. And you'll just take like a gel type of deodorant, and you'll just rub that on their arm after you shave wherever you're going to. Even if they don't have hair there, you still shave it because you have little microfiber hairs that you can't really see, and they will interfere with the ink and everything. So you got to shave whatever part you're going to tattoo, and then I'll rub the deodorant on it, and then I'll immediately put the tracer on it, and then that gives me my outline and everything. And once I've already tattooed in my outline, then I'll go back in and I'll start to shade it and color it, and so on and so forth. That's the difference between a true tattoo artist like Little John and tracer like myself. I have to trace the outline and everything, otherwise it's going to look like garbage, and I'm probably going to get my ass beat, depending on how good a fighter the person I've messed up is. But, and you don't want to do that in prison because, look, you see some really, really horrible ink in here. I've seen ink on people where they just, it's all bled together. Basically, it's just like giant patches of just black and green or whatever blobs under a person's skin. There's no definition or nothing. Although I have figured out a way to actually fix that, unless it's just solid black. But if you get some people that do the color inks and stuff, and if they bleed together because they weren't done properly, I would basically just kind of turn that into sort of like a Rorschach test and just take black ink and then just draw tattoo over top of it with a symbol and a design, and let the color kind of be sort of like a background. I would put some words or like a phrase or something of that nature, just kind of clean it up and kind of fix it a little bit. But that's about the only thing I know to do other than, just getting it removed or something, having a skin graft. And yeah, I don't think many doctors are going to approve that for just to get rid of a tattoo. There's many, many reasons why guys will get tattoos in prison. I got my tattoos when I came into Buckingham. I went in the cell with a dude that slung ink. He's the one who actually taught me how to sling ink. Old dude named Tattoo. I don't even remember his real name. Some people called him Red because he had bright orange carrot red hair. And he's a pretty cool dude. He schooled me a lot in prison because he'd been in prison for 10 years before that and everything. So, he'd been down for a little while. But, he taught me how to make tattoo guns. He taught me how to make, the ink and all that stuff. And he taught me how to sling ink and everything. But that's where I got my tattoos. Now, look, I didn't get my tattoos because my tattoos had special meaning to me. Only one tattoo has special meaning to me, and I did that much later in life. I'll discuss what tattoos I actually have a little bit later on, but I just got my tattoos because, hell, I thought they made me look cool. I thought they made me look tough. And well, as it turns out, it doesn't, because I've never had somebody come up to fight me and saw that I had ink on me. I'm like, wait a minute, man, I can't mess with this dude. He gonna whoop my ass. He's got a tattoo. A tattoo has never stopped me from getting my ass whooped, and it ain't never helped me whoop ass, as far as I know. But I got it because I thought it was cool, and that's what most guys in prison do, because tattoos are kind of cool. They really are an expression of who you are. They're a way for you to let other people know a little bit about yourself at a glance. And that's what most people in prison do. It's sort of honestly, quite frankly, it's like a dog that walks around and pisses on a tree or a fire hydrant or, a fence post or a car tire. We're basically marking our territories when we mark our bodies, because we mark our bodies for the most part with the things that do have somewhat of a meaning to us. Though that's not always the case. As I said, I have 6 tattoos. 5 of them mean nothing. They were just free tattoos that my cellie put on me while he was teaching me the art. And, one tattoo I put on myself that does have meaning, which I'll go into later, but it's just a status thing. It's just it's vanity. All it is. Tattoos really are nothing more than vanity. It's a way to mark ourselves. It's a way to beautify ourselves. It's a way to comfort ourselves, to make ourselves look cool, to feel better. Like, it gives us like a little bit of power over our own bodies, which most of us, quite frankly, we don't even have power or control over our own bodies due to whatever circumstances or mental health issues we deal with, or life circumstances, situations, health, diet, religion, and so on and so forth. It's like a power thing in a lot of ways. But in prison, a lot of it is gang related also, because you have so many gang members in prison now. And that's the way to feel like you belong to something bigger than yourself. Like, it's a way to feel important. It's a way to let motherfuckers know who you are and who you run with, so you best stay away unless you want to catch that smoke. Like, that's why a lot of guys do it. It's like the big S on Superman's chest. It lets you know who you dealing with. A lot, sad to say, a lot of guys in prison, yeah, they have the look. They got the look down pat. There just ain't nothing backing that ass up, though, except the rest of their gang members with the same tattoos. Because that's all they are. That's who they are. That's what they are. They have no identity for themselves. And tattoos give you an identity, whether you want it to or not. If you have ink on you, it gives you a certain type of identity. I mean, there's just like I said, there's so many different reasons. Like, I could probably spend 4 or 5 episodes, honestly, talking about the reasons why someone gets a tattoo in the first place, because there's so much mental and emotional content that goes into getting ink. Because some people get ink to help them deal with emotional pain. Some people get ink, like, especially if you see face or names on a person's body, portraits and everything, like, 9 times out of 10, that's someone who died, or someone who meant something to this person, and this is their way of commemorating them. This is their way of honoring them and keeping them with them at all times so they don't forget. And then you'll have, like, a parent will get their children's faces tattooed on them or their children's names. And then you have the idiots out there who fall in love so fast, they want to go and get their girl's name tattooed on them, and hell, they ain't even slept with them yet. They ain't even made it to the second date yet. You got those idiots. Then, which is one thing, I'll tell you right now, I don't sling ink no more, but if I ever go back to slinging ink again, I can tell you right now, do not ask me to tattoo a name on you, because I will not do it. I don't give a damn whose name it is. I'm not going to do it. I don't do that. But there's so much that goes into tattoos. I understand that among religious people, tattoos have a stigma and so on and so forth. Regardless of what religion. There's some religions that actually embrace tattoos. You actually, hell, you're required to get tattoos. Look at the Samoan people. Their religion requires them to get that. But in Christianity and Judaism and Islam and some others, like, it's taboo. It's the thing. I got tattoos before I became a Christian, so I'm like this. You know what? I don't care. If you want to get tattoos, get tattoos. If you don't. Do what your conscience dictates. And if you're wrong, hell, ask God to forgive you when you're standing in front of him. I mean, that's all I can really tell you. But many different reasons, and just way too many for me to go into in such a short time. As promised, I'm going to discuss the tattoos I have. I'm going to discuss the 5 tattoos that have no meaning. On my right thigh, I have a naked woman, just her upper body. It looks like she's stepping out of a shower, tattooed on my thigh with like clouds wrapped around her. On my stomach, I have a couple of tribal ghosts, because my name was Ghost. It was just a little something like that. Then on my on my upper back, on my left shoulder blade, I have a barbed wire cross with a rose wrapped around it. On my right shoulder blade, I have what's called a rebel rose, which is basically a rebel flag that was twisted into the shape of a rose. No, it has no meaning of racism or hatred or anything like that. It was just simply a free tattoo. That's all it was. And then one in the middle of my back, the one that I'm ashamed of, is a cross. Again, yes, there is a bit of a theme there. But this time the cross is actually made up of naked women that are all intertwined together, eating one another out. It's very detailed, a little bit graphic. It's only about 6 inches tall and about 4 inches wide, but it's good work. I mean, the guy who did it, he was a good artist. But those were just free tattoos. Like I said, I got them back in Buckingham when I was there, when I was learning how to sling ink and all of that. The only tattoo I have that has meaning to me is the one that I did back in 2006, like a week or two before I slit the child molester's throat at Sussex 1. I was down there slinging ink, making a little bit of money, and it's called Taishar. It's TAI''SHAR, Taishar. And the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, that was a saying in the old tongue, and it meant true blood. And that book has meant so much to me. It changed my life. And my favorite character in that book, Land Mandragorn, is the one who said it to the main character to give him courage when he was going in to face the Armelin seat. I say it in here to people, which I don't say it in here to people unless, it depends on who I'm talking to, because they'll want to confuse it. So you a blood. I mean, come on, man. You and I know damn good and well, man, a white person can't be a blood. But, it has nothing to do with that. It's just, it's symbolic of, the change I wanted in myself and who I was. And even though I didn't make that change until a year or two after I'd slit the child molester's throat and I'd got the tattoo first, it still has always meant something to me. I like it, man. It that sums me up. True blood. It sums me up. I'm true to myself. I'm true to my blood, who I am as a person. I'm true to my own life. And that's what blood is. Blood is indicative of life, because without blood, you have no life. Blood is the foundation of life. So and that's one thing I'm true to myself. Whether you like me or not, that's your problem, not mine. I'm true to who I am and true to my beliefs. Those are my 6 tattoos. Without question, whenever I give my time back and I go home, I'm going to do what I can to get these tattoos removed, laser removal, though I have heard that it's really hard to remove prison ink.
You have 1 minute remaining.
So if it doesn't remove it, I'm just going to remove as much of it as I can, and then I'm going to go and find a really good tattoo artist. And it costs some money, so it might be a while before I can pay for it, but I'm going to get them covered up, because I'm not going to have that stuff on my back, especially the cross in the middle of my back with the naked women, sinning with one another. Can't have that. That's I'm pretty sure just about everybody in the world disagrees with that one. But it is what it is. But like I said, I got them when I was learning how to tattoo. That's tattooing in prison. But this has been Red Onion Randy. For those of you who listen to me on Apple Podcast, I would truly appreciate it if you would review me and rate me. Don't forget to check out my website, redonionrandy.com. I'm also on Twitter now, @RedOnionRandy. I hope you follow me. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you for using GTL.